This is your official invitation to join us for the Beltane edition of the Power of Pleasure live virtual summit happening on the 28th and 29th of April. This isn't just another online event. It's 2 full days with 12 of the world's leading sexperts. They're going to share juicy, heart-opening sessions on things like orgasmic liberation and what your desire is really asking for. Not only are they going to be teaching you about sexuality through their realm of genius, but each speaker is going to offer you a free gift, something that's going to give you a deeper glimpse into yourself.
We can't wait to share this delicious experience with you. But one last thing, if you can't join us live, there will be a free replay window so that you can binge at your heart's desire. So you've got no reason not to sign up. Go to sexreimagine.com/power-of-pleasure. We can't wait to see you there.
We are here with Jeff from Regen Max, and we're diving into the future of regeneration, from cellular repair to what it really means to support your body at the deepest levels. I'm Dr. Willa Brown, here with the one and only Leah Piper. We are Sex Reimagined.
This episode is all about erectile dysfunction cure. You guys, we're talking about a cure today. This is different than any other episode we've done on ED before. So you are not going to want to miss this. This might be the answer to a prayer. So tune in, turn on, and fall in love with Jeff.
Welcome to the Sex Reimagined podcast, where sex is shame-free and pleasure-forward. Let's get into the show.
We are so excited to have you today. I was just saying off camera that I've been looking at your work, and we've had a lot of people, a lot of physicians on the show talking about erectile dysfunction and what folks can do about it, and explaining all the things that can happen both psychologically and physiologically. And it sounds like you've taken a lot of steps further on this journey. So I'm wondering if you can just first start with your own story. I understand that around the age of 40, some of the erectile pills stopped working for your body, and that this might have launched you specializing in the area of erectile dysfunction. Have I got that right?
Yeah, well, it was pretty close. Yeah, it's amazing what you do out of desperation, number one. And I didn't wake up one day when I was a young little boy and say, when I grow old, I want to fix broke penises for a living. Nevertheless, at 40 years old, I found myself in a very weird situation. I had recently gone through a divorce of a 17-year-long marriage, raising our youngest on my own, or finished raising him on my own the last 3 years of his teenage life, and then moved him on into college and military and all that. But I found myself, mentally stimulated. I was very sexual in my mind, but my body was like, I'm out. I don't want to play. I'm done. So it really emotionally and psychologically, it really plays a pretty big toll on a man. I don't know how women think. I guess I can liken it to having if you had your breast removed, would you feel not as a woman? It's one of those things where I literally tell people all the time, I felt like I had to turn in my man card and I was no longer qualified. It was horrible, a horrible feeling. And everything that I was reading, if physicians knew what they were doing, I never would have done what I did and wouldn't have figured it out. But pretty much everybody out there has the same tool bag. They're doing the pills and they're doing pumps, and maybe a handful of them are doing some kind of shockwave therapy or something. Mm-hmm. But it's all smoke and mirrors, and it's what I found for me was none of it worked. And I'm not a pharmaceutical kind of guy. I'm not even a fan of Western medicine. I think Western medicine is designed to treat symptoms and never fix problems. Medications and pharmaceuticals don't fix anything. They just kind of manage it and keep you alive and manage the problem, but they don't fix anything. So I knew that our bodies were designed to regenerate themselves and to fix themselves, but we have to hit the right things to trigger that kind of regeneration response. So it took many years, but again, out of desperation, determined and committed to getting myself back in the game and working and being fully functional, man, I dug deep and read about every white paper I could get my hands on, and was in the lab all the time trying experiments. And the first step was first understanding hormone replacement therapy, which most people don't understand. They went to a weekend course and they think, okay, I can do that, but aren't understanding how it all works in relation to your body. There's no such thing as normal. People say, well, your testosterone is normal. Well, I don't want to be normal. I mean, what does normal mean anyway? It's what's normal for you is not normal for me. So normal is a very relative term.
Mm-hmm.
I realized the more I learned, the more people don't know what they're doing. And I was committed to making my testosterone level optimal. And optimal meaning, what was I in my prime? And very fortunate for me, I knew that at 27 years old. I had my hormones tested.
That's unusual.
Very unusual.
I wonder
because
what led you to that.
Yeah, back then nobody even was doing hormone replacement. I was in a competitive martial arts tournament.
Oh, there you go.
And they tested us, for like really high raging type people.
Mm-hmm.
So I was very fortunate, and I knew I had a good baseline, and I knew what I needed to get back to. So once I figured that out, and all the science that I read was if your hormones are optimal, meaning like that of your prime, then all of your vital organs, your heart, lungs, kidneys, liver, everything works at their optimal level as well. So that was the start of the process. And then I had to really get into the tissue degeneration and what happens when you're testosterone deficient for a while. And I found out that although everybody's been preaching and teaching for hundreds and hundreds of years that lack of blood flow is the cause of erectile dysfunction, it's not the cause of erectile dysfunction. It is a result of erectile dysfunction, but you first get erectile dysfunction, and then your blood flow starts to diminish as a result of the fact that your body is already in that mode, that degenerative mode.
Are you referring to how the veins that carry the blood start to degrade?
So what causes that? That's a very true statement. The veins that pull the blood in their prime in healthy times are pulling good volumes of blood in, and they dilate and everything works fine. But then your veins start to develop atrophy and shrink up and send less blood in. So so when I realized that, I go, well, that's what everybody's doing, and they give you Cialis or Viagra to dilate bigger and make it flow. But what causes that? Let's go beyond that. What made that get atrophy and shrink up? And, after a lot of years, I realized it's the sponge. We have in the corpus cavernosum of the penis, it's spongy tissue. And just like any kitchen sponge at home, it degenerates. You can't have the same sponge on your sink for many years. It shrinks up, it becomes unabsorbable, it just becomes useless because the life of the sponge dies. Mm. Well, what triggers that? Well, the sponge is held together by collagen. Uh-huh. And it's a proven fact that when your testosterone is diminishing, somewhere in our 20s, we stop producing testosterone by about 2% a year. And so it's getting lower and lower and lower. When it gets a magical number, it activates the aging process. And the first thing that takes place in that process is our production of collagen drops. Now, women notice this because they're in the mirror every day.
Right.
Doing makeup and hair, and they go, hey, I didn't have that line before. I didn't have that ring. Where'd that come from? So they notice it.
They don't notice it, though, do they?
Yeah, but we don't. Men don't notice it because we don't give a rip about a line or a wrinkle and whatever. So it is what it is.
Ladies, by the way, they don't notice it on our faces either.
Yeah. Women are very much more observant, but so nevertheless, it's happening, and it's happening in the sponge tissue of the penis, and it takes time. But as that collagen breaks down, that sponge becomes dried out and less absorbable. Now, the reason why that's so important is when that sponge is absorbing the blood that's coming in, it absorbs until it's full enough. And what I mean by full enough, maybe for this man, it's 85% full is enough. Maybe it's 100% full is enough. Enough to trigger a muscle that's behind the scrotum called the spongiosum. And when that muscle gets triggered, it flexes and locks down on the sponge and keeps the blood inside the sponge until orgasm. At orgasm, that muscle relaxes and the blood flows back out. So if that muscle's not getting activated or flexing hard enough, it's called the venous leak. Blood fills it up and it slowly leaks back out not because the veins are bad, but because the sponge is bad.
The name of the
veins
sponge again?
This is great.
Say that again?
What's the technical name for the sponge again?
It's the spongiosum of the corpus cavernosum.
Okay, the spongiosum. I do want to get the terms down. I mean, I've been really good at getting the female anatomy terms down, but it's the male anatomy that I really want to tackle. And then what's the thing that clamps down on the sponge to keep the blood there?
Let's take a quick break.
So many women have learned how to function, how to give, how to hold it all together. But somehow we have truly forgotten what it's like to feel at home, really at home in our bodies.
And that's why we created Rooted in Desire, a 2-day tantric immersion just for women so that you can slow down and you can start to listen to your body so that you can release what no longer serves you and reconnect with your sensuality as something deeply intelligent and highly sacred.
You know, this is really more than a weekend. It's a reclamation for your confidence, for your sensuality, for your sovereignty. You, my friend, my sister, are meant to feel turned on and totally alive in your body. You're meant to trust yourself, and you're also meant to trust others. How do we cross that hurdle?
Well, we're going to do it through tantric practices, through qigong, and through jade egg practices, not to mention sacred ritual. We're going to explore feminine power as something lived, not just performed. It's not about pushing boundaries. It's about safety, presence, and truth.
You'll be held in a circle of women who are walking the same path. We're curious, we're open-hearted, we are ready to meet and encounter ourselves more fully. And there is something so profoundly healing about being seen and witnessed and not needing to explain or perform.
So this is really your invitation to step into sensuality and self-trust, not someday, but right now.
For more information, including the cities and the dates that you can register for Rooted in Desire, go to sexreimagine.com/rooted-in-desire.
Called the bulbo, bulbospongiosis.
Oh, God. Bulbospongiosis.
Bulbospongiosis.
Okay, all right. I'm going to replay this, and I am going to tackle this.
You do that. And all of that, well, the spongiosum is inside the corpus cavernosum, which are two tubes. Now, newsflash, the difference between a penis and a clitoris, one has a urethra and one doesn't. They both have the corpus cavernosum. They both have the spongiosum. So when a woman gets clitoral atrophy and cannot have orgasm anymore or loses sensitivity, that's the same thing as a man getting ED. The sponge is going bad. Then our bodies, the chain reaction is our body. So first of all, testosterone dropped. We stopped producing collagen. The collagen, then what's left, degenerates because there's not new collagen. So that degenerates, which makes the sponge dry out and not be as absorbable or flexible. Then when that happens, our bodies say, hey, Mr. Sponge, you're not absorbing all the blood we're sending in. So the veins say, we'll fix that, we'll help you. And they get atrophy and shrink up to send less volume in, hoping you'll absorb all the blood that's going in. So now you get a 75% erection and it not able to maintain it.
Right.
And then the veins go, you're still not absorbing all the blood. So they shrink up even more. To eventually there's no erections. You can't get one and you can't maintain one.
Yeah.
But ED starts with, I can get erect but not maintain it.
Right.
That's the first symptom.
Right.
That's early onset ED is what that is. And it's all not blood flow. It is sponge.
So that should clue you into you're not producing enough collagen to keep
Correct.
that sponge healthy.
Or testosterone.
Or the testosterone. So we have to get your testosterone back optimized. Then we have to replace the veins that develop atrophy. Now we have to get rid of those and put new veins in. Well, that's called angiogenesis. Our bodies do it all the time. You know, you walk a lot, you break veins in your legs. We break blood vessels every day.
Okay.
And our bodies reproduce them. So we have to trigger your penis to reproduce new blood vessels and get rid of those atrophic ones.
Okay, but it's not like it's a surgical situation. It is a regenerative thing that you do with the veins.
Yeah, none of this is surgical or pills. This is all regenerative.
Okay.
Yep. Then we have to get your sponge to develop new spongy tissues, just like lifting weights. When you lift weights and do curls, you're not making your existing bicep bigger. What's happening is you're making tears in that muscle, making your body develop new muscle tissue. So you're adding to the existing muscle tissue, and that's what makes it bigger and stronger. So how do we do that? Well, injury. You lift weights, you create injury to that muscle. So your body at the cellular level says, hey, we can fix this. Starts building new muscle tissue, get bigger, better, stronger. Same thing is true. If I manipulate and use the right equipment to make micro tears in the sponge,
right,
not only will I get new veins to replace the atrophic veins, but now I get the body developing new sponge tissue. So then I have to go in. Now we have new sponge tissue developing. I have to use a heat source. There's only 2 devices in the entire world that will do this procedure. And we put enough heat in that tissue to remodel the collagen. And this really isn't new science. It's just newly applied science, because women have been getting facial treatments done with lasers for 30, 40 years now.
Right.
You want your face tightened up, you got to go through the pain of laser, right?
Yeah.
Well, we do the same thing with the spongiosum. We can remodel that collagen and get that collagen back to its prime and healthy and perfect again.
Okay. I think I've seen this in action, and what it looked like was almost like a gun-like laser. And I watched my friend who got this device in Europe, because it's super expensive in the US. And he's putting these waves, these shock waves of heat. And now I thought maybe it was sound, but I think it's heat waves.
It is. You're confusing 2 machines. Yeah, that was shockwave.
Okay.
That was not heat. That was pure shockwave.
Okay.
And we have that device here. They're not that expensive in the States, but that is what creates the micro tears, because it's an acoustic. So it is a sound. It sounds like a bullet firing back and forth. It creates the micro tears in the tissue. That's what obliterates the veins, and that's what also creates the tears in the sponge. So then we use a laser or radio frequency. And again, there's only 2 devices. There's a lot of radio frequency machines out there. There's a lot of laser machines out there, but none of them have the appropriate fit behind them, except for 2 that will do the procedure to where you're not burning the penile tissue. So we could put enough heat in safely to where it's hot to remodel the collagen, but not going to burn you and make it painful or uncomfortable. It does not do that. So again, new veins, new sponge, new collagen. We got your hormones back to their optimal level. There's only one other thing that we need to do, because the second problem of the aging process is our stem cell production drops.
Okay.
So when we were young and 20 something, we could work all day, party with our friends, go to bed at 2:00 in the morning, get up and do it again. And it didn't matter, because we had so much stem cell production in our body, we recovered quickly. The older we get, not so much. You have a hard day in the yard on Saturday, you need Sunday to chill out and relax. Get your body back regenerated. So if we just did the shockwave and the laser by itself, we're probably looking at, on a 55, 60-year-old man, you're probably looking at 10 to 14 months it would take for your body to regenerate enough tissue without any stem cell replacement. So I developed, part of the patent that we were issued on this whole process is a biologic that we inject that is a stem cell replacement. And it's a special cocktail that replaces all that. And it makes all this happen in days and weeks. It's so regenerative. So our average patient comes in, let's say 60-year-old hadn't had an erection very good for the last year, 2 years, struggles really bad. By the fourth, fifth treatment, he's waking up with morning erections again.
Is he able to last for penetration?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The first time we look for is, are you waking up with an erection? Because in our 20s, we averaged 20 erections in a 24-hour period. Most of those are when we're asleep. That's our most relaxed stage. And so that's when everything's flowing easily, no restrictions, no mind games, nothing going on. Everything's working fine. But nevertheless, it's a lot of expansion and contraction of the penile tissue and keeping it healthy. As we age, that's not happening as much. So the first thing that goes is usually the morning erections. And so, again, if you don't use it, you lose it. The atrophy starts to develop. And so usually we hear people, man, I'm waking up with erections. And then once their mind gets involved, they get afraid and it goes back down because they're thinking, what if it don't work or whatever?
Right.
There's a big mental component to all this as well. Physiologically, we will repair the tissue for sure. Emotionally, psychologically, you got to work through that. You got to get your confidence back. You can't go down that road of, what if? What if it don't work?
Mm-hmm. How does it work for somebody with prostate cancer or prostatectomy or?
Great question. We have had a lot of success with that. Actually, we license our patent to other physicians around the country, and one of them in Bentonville, Arkansas. Dr. Doherty is his name, and he was a patient first, had prostate cancer, had his prostate removed, hadn't had an erection for 14 months at all. After surgery, went the year, 2 months after surgery, still nothing. Became a patient, started getting results, had such good results that he bought a license and has a ED center in Bentonville, Arkansas, doing the same thing. And this is a guy who had nothing, and we couldn't even get his hormones adjusted for 3 more months because his numbers still weren't good.
Right.
And oncologists wouldn't release him, and finally oncologists released him. So he got success even without getting his hormones fixed. But the importance of the hormones is the longevity of the work we do.
Yeah.
How long that lasts will really determine if your hormones are good or not.
And so
if your hormones aren't good, it's going to degenerate.
You're using bioidentical hormone replacement therapy.
Yes, only. There's too many problems with synthetic injectable.
Yeah.
There's a lot of medical issues with it.
Yeah. Wow, that is very exciting. I definitely know some men. Now, do you have to be an MD to? No. Okay, so a Chinese medicine doctor could do this procedure?
Anybody could do this procedure. It depends what state you're in. Okay. But the hormones, they might, in some states, might require you to be an MD, might require you to be an RN, might require you to be an NP. A lot of homeopathic, like you said, Chinese doctor.
So that's easy.
Yeah.
Easy. So it's just the procedure is pretty. Will you walk us through it? Like what's the process? So you said, using the stem cell increases the result. So with that, how often does someone need to come in? So from 14 months down to like 4 or 5 weeks is what I heard. Yeah. What's the process? Like how often do people need to come in? And
great question. So there's a lot of correlations between going to the gym and lifting weights and fixing erectile dysfunction. Like I said, the micro tears in the sponge are very important, just like lifting weights. Well, another correlation is when you go to the gym and you see your body beginning to change, that's not the time to quit. That's the time to keep going strong, right? And finish what you started. And what we have found is when people finish a 12-month process of Regen Max, like they don't have problems again. They're done. As long as they keep their hormone levels good.
Okay.
That they're done.
So there's no maintenance to come and continue getting the treatments other than making sure that your hormonal levels are optimal for when you're still in your prime. And
we do have maintenance programs.
Okay.
we started those because we had a lot of guys saying, look, man, I spent a lot of money getting this fixed and it's working great, and I don't ever want to go back to what I was. So we do some maintenance programs. It all depends on the human being, the body type, how they take care of themselves. I would say 50% of the patients buy a maintenance program. The other 50% takes the gamble and says, I'm good, I'm going to just run with it. And they keep their hormones up. That's the most important thing. And truthfully, if you stay active, keep your body moving, keep your hormones right, you probably don't need maintenance because you're starting over. It took you 60 years to get there. You gotta, we're started over. You got a brand new penis internally. It's brand new, all new tissue.
What's the oldest person who's undergone this successfully?
84 years old.
Okay.
I treated him and his wife. Great story. They were married 60 years. They're still married 60 years. They hadn't had sex in 20 years.
Wow.
Because they just couldn't. She was painful for her, and he was not working very well, and so they just decided, well, I guess that was then and this is now. But yet they're crazy, stupid in love and act like little kids, holding hands all the time, touchy-feely. And they came in talking to me and said, do you think this will work? I said, I do. I think we can fix this. Make a long story short, they're having sex 4 days a week. And and they are absolutely loving life. And they're so funny. I mean, I tell people they act like 16-year-olds at band camp or something, they just grab assing all the time. And I mean, they're just hilarious. But are totally fine and are capable and are having a great sex life.
Okay, so Jeff, you just said you treated her as well. So you can treat women with...
The patent covers both men and women because, again, the difference in a penis and a clitoris is the same internal tissue. So most of the time, women start to develop clitoral atrophy and their orgasms become less and less, which immediately all of a sudden it's like, what's the point? I'm not getting anything out of this. And then they go through what's called vaginal relaxation syndrome, where the vaginal canal goes from a tight circle and it kind of drops into more of a loose oval. Well, when that happens, the vaginal canal is lined with what are called rugae, that are ridges. And those ridges produce the wetness. Well, when the canal falls into an oval, those ridges kind of lay down and go flat. So the wetness isn't there, and so they get dry. And it hurt.
Is this mainly through perimenopause and menopause that we see these stages, or is it childbirth? What's the age that you're seeing women come in?
Vaginal relaxation syndrome really happens to every woman at some point in their life. Childbirth will speed that up for sure. But to be a younger age when that happens. I mean, let's face it, your vagina goes through a lot of trauma when you're birthing. In doing that, you're creating some damage that it's all fixable, it's all correctable. Right. But if you don't treat it, then what happens is women get stuck in this catch-22 vicious cycle of, it doesn't feel good, it hurts, what's the point, I don't want to do it, I don't care. And their hormones are so messed up that they really don't care.
Right.
And they have no drive, no libido of any kind, and they're hoping their husband gets ED, and they just don't want it, right?
Totally.
What we found is if we could just get a woman to, don't you just want to feel better?
Yeah.
Forget the sex. Let's forget sex for a minute.
Yeah.
You want to feel better? You want to have more energy? Do you want to feel like you don't have to just sit on the couch all the time?
Yeah.
Let's get your hormones right.
Right.
99% of the time we get their hormones optimal, they're like, okay, look it, I'm really horny and it hurts like hell. What do we do? And then we start going through the process of fixing the vaginal canal. And women respond so much faster than men to this. Women respond.
I believe that because I do a lot of pelvic floor work on women, and that tissue in there is so responsive and holds really, really well. I used to do cranial sacral on babies too, and they just don't have all the preconceived ideas and stuff, so their tissue is so malleable and it holds really well. Now I want to ask you if you are familiar with the V-Fit, which is an LED vaginal device.
Red light therapy.
red light therapy, it's got heat and certain oscillations. I'm curious, like, what would be the difference therapeutically from a device like that and what you...
So the laser that we use, there's no pain at all. I've never had a woman go, ouch. There's no pain. It's just all thermal. But it's powerful enough. And as you said, the tissue in the vaginal canal it's called mucosal tissue, mucosa. And it's very absorbable. And so when you put heat into that tissue, it just absorbs all that heat and remodels the collagen like crazy. And it makes that tissue so healthy again by just using a good constant heat source. The problem that I have found with these red light therapies and things like that, it takes a long time to actually do the process to get enough energy in the tissue, number one. Number two, a lot more frequency of doing the procedure requires when it's there's a reason why there's only physicians can buy some of this equipment, right? Because if anybody at home could do it, people would be getting hurt all the time, right? So
yeah, because a little bit is good, then more is better. People just always want to do more and more and more.
Everybody says that.
I was just having the thought, like, I'm pretty sure my vagina's in good shape and orgasms are strong. I don't think I'm having any of this prolapsed oval thing going on, but I kind of want to try it. Like, could they get even better?
The answer is yes. Maintenance is the best thing. Preventative maintenance is the best thing going. I have several patients, honestly, and obviously you got to have the financial wherewithal to be able to afford to do it because you want to, not because you have to.
Right.
Which requires different priorities, obviously. But I've got several who say, listen, I don't have any problems yet, and I don't want any problems.
Yeah.
And so they go through the treatments like normal, and they're like, it's great for them.
So with what you're using, because the VFit actually doesn't take that long. It's like 2 to 3 sessions per week, about 12 minutes per session. And you get results within like the first 4 weeks or so. So that seems, and you can do it at home. But so I'm curious with your laser therapy, is it like a wand? Is it going in vaginally?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's intravaginal, but it's a laser handpiece that goes intravaginally through a glass. It's called a speculum, but it's not an exam speculum. It's a glass tube that goes in the vaginal canal so that the laser doesn't ever touch flesh or fluid of any kind. It goes inside that glass tube, emits the laser energy. It takes 3 to 4 minutes tops to put enough laser energy in there and get that hot enough. The reason why I struggle with the whole red light thing is I know how much heat it takes to remodel collagen. And I've never seen red light therapy deliver enough heat in a decent amount of time to where you're not there a long time doing it. Those red light therapy caps for going bald and stuff, same thing. I mean, the laser will do it much faster and we're getting a lot of heat in, but with the red light therapy, I think is good it's a good home-based thing because you really can't hurt yourself with it. And I think more is better. I think 3 times a week would be a very minimal amount. I think you probably would do better doing more because you're not going to hurt yourself with the red light therapy. It's really difficult to do that.
Well, I imagine hormonal treatment would also be more efficacious with either one of these treatments. I am curious about testosterone and women and how testosterone is affecting women's tissues degenerate, and if testosterone replacement is also part of the protocol with you working with women.
It is 100% the same. It's the exact same problem. So here's a great analogy to get a visual of what's going on with the body. I tell patients every day, think of your body like your electric panel at home, where all your breakers are, okay? Somewhere in our 20s, we stop producing testosterone by 2% a year. It's different for everybody. So let's just say you're 55 and at 25, you started to stop producing. 30 years have gone by now. 60% of your testosterone production at a minimum, on average, is gone, never to return. Once you stop producing, you can't make your body start producing it again. You're done. So contrary to popular opinion, of we age and lose testosterone. No, we lose testosterone, and that activates the aging process. Because what happens is that testosterone is coming down, and it hits the magic number. Call it 500, call it 400, call it 600. Whatever. It's different for everybody, but it hits that level. It opens the door to your electric panel and starts turning breakers off one at a time until the last breaker's turned off and we expire. That is the aging process. What starts that aging process is your testosterone got too low and activated that process. The first breaker that gets turned off in that panel is your production of collagen. And so, and this is why women in the young 30-somethings are flocking to Botox and fillers, because they're seeing the lines and that they didn't have a year ago, 6 months ago. And so because they see it, that collagen, so what happened is their testosterone got low enough to activate the aging process and turn off the breaker of collagen. So now the collagen you have is starting a degenerative process because we're not rebuilding it fast enough to replace what's degenerating. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. What are your thoughts on the PT-141 peptide in
absolutely love it. I think it's a great peptide. Now the history of it, it came out and was marketed as a Viagra for women. And most women that use it, the feedback I get from them is it makes sex easier for me. And I said, okay, explain that. Well, I don't have to try. I don't have to think about things. My body's working like it used to, right? Nerve endings are better. So what does that tell you? If I have to use a peptide to mimic or to make the nerves better, that means they're degenerating.
It means there's not enough endogenously being produced.
Exactly. So I'm a fan of PT-141, but it's a Band-Aid that's covering up the degenerative part that we need to reverse and fix because it's not getting better. It's just like using Trimix, or it's like using tadalafil or sildenafil.
Right.
Your body, you take those pills, it will dilate the vascularity, but your sponge isn't getting any better.
Right.
It's just now your vascularity is dilated, so tons of blood's going in, still coming back out, but just there's a bunch going in, so it overrides it. Then one day, it's like those pills aren't working anymore. No, they still work. It's just you have nothing left to absorb. The veins are still dilating. We don't get resistant. If they're called PDE5 drugs, we don't get resistant to those. They still make your veins dilate, period. But if you don't have anything to absorb that blood flow, that's blood in, blood out. Every man will tell you when they take Cialis or Viagra, well, yeah, it gets a little firmer, but it's not erect anymore like it used to be. Well, that's because blood's going in, but it's going in and right back out.
Yeah. And yeah, I've got a question about collagen. Now, I can't imagine that all the collagen that we are marketed currently, right? Like we put collagen into our coffee. There's collagen into every thing you could put on your face. And my esthetician recently said that shit that doesn't do anything. Stop wasting your money on collagen in that form. Would you agree?
Sure. I totally agree. She's 100% right.
Yeah. It's expensive.
When you take collagen through the digestive system, it's not getting to where it needs to go before the digestive system destroys it.
Yeah.
Right.
And so part of the biologics that we inject, that's a stem cell replacement, has type 1 and type 3 collagen infused in it because it's directly into the tissue. It's bypassing the vascular system, bypassing the digestive system, and going right into the actual spongiosum tissue that we want to regenerate collagen in. So that's why we developed it that way. It's direct, right?
You're talking about the injection of the stem cells right now?
Yeah, our biologics. Yeah, it's called TRF, tissue regenerative fluid, and it's a special. So in making that, what's the most regenerative or generative thing in the human body is the chorion layer of a placenta. That's what makes the baby. The chorion layer, the stem cells that come out of the chorion layer of the placenta. You have the chorion layer and the amnion layer. The amnion layer is more general health support, well-being. It's like the supporting cocoon. The the chorion layer, that's where the magic happens. That's where the tissue starts to generate and it starts becoming tissue and cells start splitting. It's all in the chorion layer. So I'm like, well, if it can make a baby, then it can surely regenerate a spongiosum. So started doing research on that and extracting the stem cells from chorion layer, 1-day-old live birth placenta, sterilized, and using those as a regenerative compound. And then in my mind, I'm like, well, wait a minute. If we're trying to rebuild collagen, let's put type 1 and type 3 collagen in as well. Because right into the tissue, now we have a regenerative compound of exosomes and stem cells. We have the type 1, type 3 collagen, some hyaluronic acid mixed in there too. Then on top of that, I put all that in amniotic fluid as the carrier, the base carrier of all this. You have type 1, type 3 collagen, you have growth factors, hyaluronic acid. All this stuff happens quick, and it stays there working because we keep putting the injury in the tissue. So yeah, all that was part of the patent, and is great, and we love it. And so yeah, it happens very quickly. But your question about the collagen, it's a waste of money. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry for a reason.
I know. Stop buying collagen peptides off the shelf, people. What about the peptide GHK-Cu? That stimulates your endogenous collagen within your own body. Obviously, what you just described sounds like a supernova version of that. But what are your thoughts on that? Because
I love that peptide. I think GHK is great. And there's a lot of great uses for it. GHK and biotin is great for losing hair. You rub that in your scalp every night and you'll stop losing hair. I mean, it does great. It's a really great peptide. Add some copper to it as well. But GHK is a great, as you say, androgynous producing peptide. I think CJ-C1295, if you somebody that actually works out and not just say you work out. There's a lot of people that say they do, but they don't.
When you say work out, you mean lift weight, not
Lift
just
weight.
Yeah,
run on a treadmill.
or no, not necessarily. I mean, you could do a lot of HIIT training. You could, cardiovascular work, push-ups, sit-ups, calisthenic type training, all that stuff. As long as you're putting stress, strain, and stress on muscle tissue, I think CJ-C1295 with ipamorelin is probably one of the greatest peptides ever. You could live on it. You don't have to cycle off of it or anything. And it's just great you're not going to lose muscle mass. I'm 60 years old and my muscle mass is still pretty good. And I stay very active. And
Well, I want to highlight what you're saying, Jeff, which is a really important part, which is to make those little micro tears. That's what the working out does. That's why we say, I'm getting ripped, because it's like you are ripping little tears in the muscle, and that's what allows it to kind of proliferate and grow to new levels. I thought that was a great distinction that you made at the very beginning. And then that's exactly what you're saying is happening with the sponge as well. It's like you're rebuilding the sponge tissue by making abrasions, basically.
Yes.
Which is what acupuncture does as well. So
yeah, so here's the next question that I always get thrown when you explain it just exactly how you did. People say, "Oh, well, then it will make me bigger." It's a male enhancement, right?
Right.
No, the sponge doesn't make your cock bigger, guys. Just harder.
Exactly. So now here's the interesting point, though. As we're developing atrophy, the number one complaint I get is, I'm talking about guys 3, 4, 5 years down the road of, I'm just not getting an erection for the last 5 years, and I'm shrinking. Mm-hmm. It's true. Mm. Have you ever had your arm in a cast? Or a leg in a cast? You take your cast off and it's half the size. Why? Atrophy, right? So the tissue's shrinking. So the question is, will this make me bigger? The answer, yes. Bigger than you are today, because the atrophy, it's going to rebuild all that tissue back to what your greatest day was. It's never going to make you bigger than you once were. Penile enlargement is another multi-billion-dollar industry. The only way to do that is with filler, which is temporary. It can be 1-2 years. Or fat transfer is another way you can do that.
Yeah, which
But
I don't think we're doing so much anymore. Yeah, it looks
there've been a lot of problems with it because that the fibrosis that happens with the fat transfer. There's a lot of times that fat becomes very fibrotic and becomes very abnormal or very just it just doesn't feel right, doesn't look right, and you got problems.
Yeah.
I've got a patient right now that had it done and had a surgical lengthening procedure, which is where they go in and they cut the ligament. And
Right.
we have an extra 2 to 3 inches of a penis inside the body. So when you cut that ligament, well, now you get 2 more inches. Okay. But it won't stick straight out anymore when it's erect. It's going to fall because you don't have that ligament working. So you're going to have to guide and steer that sucker everywhere you want it to go.
Okay, I have another question for you. And that is, how much can people expect to financially invest on this type of treatment?
Regen Max costs $10,000.
Okay.
And that's everything. There's all your lab work, all your hormone replacement, all the shockwave, all the laser, everything. Unlimited everything for a year, for 12 months.
Okay.
And we have a 97% success rate. Get our clinical
Affordable for having your sex life back and feeling like you're a man again with a capital M. Because so many men, when they can't get hard, it's like they're a man all day long. 99% of the day, they're a man with a capital M. But when they get into the bedroom and they can't get hard, there's like an association with little boy Dickie. And it's like they lose that capital M. Which is heartbreaking as a woman who loves penises and wants their man to feel potent and powerful and still a lover. So we lose him too emotionally.
100%.
And, and then it can create so many unfortunate and unnecessary ruptures.
Well, and I don't mean this in a negative way. For a woman who doesn't understand what's going on, I was going to say uneducated, but I don't want to be mean. I don't mean that in a bad way. For a woman who doesn't understand what's going on, they immediately say, well, it must be me.
Right.
And it's not. It has nothing to do with you.
Right.
It's my sponge is broke and it ain't working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and so women get emotionally hurt.
Yeah.
Men feel like a complete tight-ass failure. Like, oh my God, like I'm a big wuss. I'm done. I'm not a man.
Emasculating. Now, you did mention, Jeff, like that, when it comes to the psychological and the mental regenerating that aspect of their manhood, that is sort of another area. Is that something that you also address within the therapeutic? Will you tell us about that?
We have some great sex therapists that we do a lot of referring to, and as well as on staff, that we're able to handle the whole thing. We will 97% fix the physiological part. The 3% that aren't getting the results, it's not that they're not getting some results. They're not getting what we call success, which is a penetrable erection, sustainable till orgasm when you want.
Okay.
And that is our success, how we judge success. The 3% that we're having trouble with, all of them have one thing in common. They're severe, uncontrolled, that's the key word, uncontrolled diabetics.
Oh.
And most of them are not just overweight, morbidly obese, and are lazy. And I'm telling you right now, a body in motion stays in motion. You have to stay moving. And as soon as you start sitting around watching, you get home at 6 o'clock at night and you sit your butt on the couch, have a drink, and don't get up till you go to bed, your life, you started the end of your life. I mean, you have to walk, you have to move, you got to stay active. Have to. You don't have to be a gym rat. I'm not telling people go be a gym rat and work out crazy.
Right.
Do 10,000 steps a day. Don't park at the front parking. Don't drive around for an hour looking for the closest parking spot. Why don't you park in the back of the spot and walk to the door?
Right.
Just little things like that. Keep your body moving.
Always get up and move after you eat a meal. I think that's one of the biggest things. People want to lay down after they eat. That's so bad for the microbiome, which is really such an epitome part of health and vitality. And
it feels so good to lay down on a full stomach, and then you feel worse
afterwards.
Oh, 10, 15 minutes later, you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. And yeah, it's so important. I agree with you. Just move.
Yeah.
But so it's $10,000, but we do financing. We have all kinds of options for people. But
And
the
do you
most
guys
important
have
thing
a directory for different states and that?
we do, it's on regenmax.com website. We have two websites. We have the clinical website, swcofusa.com. That is our clinic in Colleyville, Texas. And then regenmax.com talks about, it's a provider site and a patient site. So if you're a patient looking for a provider, you can go on there and find one. And we're all the time looking for providers. I mean, that's where we're moving into now, is we're getting our staff trained up to where
Well, you might have found one, Jeff. I'm excited. I'm going to check it out.
Yeah, good.
And physicians get in touch with you to be a part of this cure.
Yeah, that's where I'm at now. My whole goal and focus, by the way, we've had over 3,200 patients go through the program, and we're maintaining a 97% success rate. So I'm very happy with our results. So now my focus is I want to meet with practitioners, physicians, providers, whatever your state allows you to do, and get a license in your hands for you and train you and teach you how to do this. Now you have to buy the equipment. I don't make the equipment. There's two options, but we will train you, provide it, and we do marketing. We do all kinds of stuff. We want to help you, and it's a cash pay thing too. So it's great for family practice doctors who are used to insurance-based and want to have a cash-based stream of some kind. But more importantly, 97% of the patients you meet are going to get well on this. They're going to be fixed, not a Band-Aid. And that's what we're doing. I'm trying to get the licensing side built up now more than anything, because I have, honest to God, every time I do a podcast, which every week I'm doing 2 a week right now, I get literally my phone will start ringing. I'll know when this drops because the phone will start ringing.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm going to make sure that I send this when we're done in the editing room to all the physicians who we've interviewed so far regarding this, to go add this to your protocol. You should really watch this one. Yeah.
You should.
And also for those of you listening, I'm sure you also know a physician who should be offering this in their clinic. So please share this episode.
Or your own doctor. If you're listening and you want this done, tell your doctor, call me. We'll get them set up. I have right now, here's a great example. I've got a physician that we just started the process of getting a license in Idaho. I have a list of 30 patients that have called from watching podcasts within 50 miles of his office.
Wow.
That I'm able to give him, say, well, here's your first 50.
Yeah. That's incredible.
Immediate.
I literally
ready to go. I love that.
Every time it airs, I get patients calling, well, do you have anybody in South Dakota or wherever?
Right.
Yeah.
No, not yet. We're working on it.
But. Yeah.
That's great. It's exciting. Thank you so much, Jeff. What a pleasure to glean from your wisdom. And we definitely got some new visuals in our brains and some new words.
You guys are fun, and you make the conversation fun. There's so many podcasts I'm on where it's almost taboo still, and come on, we're all adults here. And as we get older, man, don't tell me it's foreign for you to hear that people aren't having sex anymore.
Right. I mean, come on, baby boomers. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. This can't be too hard to figure out,
Is right. It's happening. And I love the fact that we're giving life back to people and making couples good again. And a big thing I'm finding is we have two kinds of patients that are dominating us right now. It's crazy how it goes in cycles. We have the second time around, either widowed or divorced in the 50s, and now they're back dating again, or 60s, and now they're back dating again. They're like, what do I do?
Those are our clients, yeah.
Thank you so much. What a pleasure.
All right, y'all, the show is not over. Up next is The Dish with Leah and Willow.
See you there.
Now, our favorite part, the dish.
So much to learn. The spongiosum. I was not totally aware of the spongiosum in the cavernosum.
Or the bulbous, the bulbule bubble. It's going to take me a minute, folks. I'll get there. And then I'll be impressing
myself.
everybody with my anatomy knowledge, which I am a love. I think he really elevated this conversation. You know, we've spoken to so many physicians that are doing both penile enhancement and working with erectile dysfunction. And they're trying to hit it on many levels. They're working with stem cells. They're working with diet. They are, of course, using pumps. They're using the lasers, but they don't have, and they talk about the venous leak, but they don't, they're not talking about all these other parts. And I think he's really
Yeah,
tying.
they about the spongiosum, and they don't have that patented formula of that injection that he was talking about. That sounds, I mean, that's pretty brilliant that they're using that layer of the what's it called when the baby's in the sac, you know,
Embryonic fluid.
to regenerate.
I think you said embryonic fluid when you said they're in the sac, the baby.
Yeah, it'll be the embryo. He said he put embryonic fluid into the whole formula so that it's delivered through that fluid. But yeah, the can't think of the word.
Well, you know, it's pretty big deal to call something a cure. And it is in all of their marketing. And they've got patent on it. So those are big words. And
7%.
yeah. And interesting too that this could really help people who've had prostate removal. Now, the caveat is you still have to watch out for if you can't do testosterone replacement therapy, there could be complications with this, I think. If your PSA are
Well, he did that one story of the person who couldn't get on hormones, and they still had good results. So, and then once they got cleared to get on hormones, the results.
Because I know a number of
maintained.
people who are living with prostate cancer who are battling the PSA score up and down, up and down. You know, they've got stage 4 that they're managing. And I was really hoping that this might be a solution for them, but it didn't sound like it from what he said.
No, that's still.
I mean,
has to
unless
get
you can do the treatment
cleared.
without the testosterone replacement, like
You can. You
but
did
I
say.
do get the feeling that it loses some of its efficacious results.
Still, it would be worth it if you had, you know, if you had your virility and your hardness back for, you know, 2 to 3
Right, or
years.
6
I think
months,
it would be
depending,
worth
you
it.
know, I mean, what's it worth to you, you know?
Yeah.
And really
Okay.
interesting too, the treatment for women. You know, I think about, I can't tell you, and I'm sure you do too, can't tell. We run into so many women. We hear stories of women where it's just like, they're just done. You should just hear the tone of their voice when they're like, I don't need to ever have sex again. You know, they got a divorce during menopause or perimenopause. They're kind of pissed. And like you said, like, why should I? It hurts. It's not comfortable. I kind of put up with it for years. You know, no, thank you. I'm good. And it comes with a tone, right? It's like a no, thank you. I'm done. And I just think it makes me sad because it kind of comes from this place as if sex is for somebody else and not them. So to see that this may actually open up a whole world of your own vitality as a woman to feel the aliveness and the orgasmic rush, to have that be a part of your life again.
Yeah, so much more is possible. So stay curious, stay open, and educate yourself. Much love.
Thanks, friends.
Thanks for tuning in. This episode was hosted by Tantric Sex Master Coach and Positive Psychology Facilitator Leah Piper, as well as by Chinese and Functional Medicine Doctor and Taoist Sexology Teacher Dr. Willow Brown. Don't forget, your comments, likes, subscribes, and suggestions matter. Let's realize this new world together.
Hey guys, what would it be like if you could last 10 times longer when you're having sex?
We are going to teach you how to gain massive confidence as a lover, all without performance anxiety, gimmicks, or prescription.
This course is perfect for you if you've ever been mortified by a sexual encounter that ended way too early.
Or if you've ever avoided intimacy out of fear that you won't last as long as your lover desires. Or maybe you long to give your partner multiple orgasms but can't last long enough to make that a reality.
Well, good news, we've got your back. And it's in our course, Last 10 Times Longer. Go to sexreimagine.com/last-10X-longer.
And for all of our favorite listeners out there, we are giving you a discount, 20% off, y'all. Just put in podcast 20, all caps, podcast 20 to get your 20% off of this phenomenal course that you're going to want to review more than once.
We cannot wait to see you inside this course. Plus, don't forget, we always got tons of bonuses. See you there.